Hello, good morning. I'm Courtney Newton, and welcome to the Community Brew. So, we're really excited today to talk about a great opportunity, which is the community table. So, joining us, we've got Leslie Girdley. She's a parent at Thomas Nelson. She's also a teacher and our SPDM member. And Cox's Creek, you'll have some folks join us as well.
Hi, Nelson County community. I'm Haley Victory, and I am the principal at Cox's Creek Elementary School. And on here with us today, we have a fabulous fourth grade teacher, Miss Chastity Newberry.
And we've also got the Academy joining us today.
Hey, Nelson County, my name is Mark. I'm the principal at the Academy, and we may have Jessica Sauer, who's one of our parents, joining us. She's having a little bit of technical difficulty this morning, but we're really excited to talk to you more about our topic this morning.
So this week has been a really exciting week full of backpack days. I know we've had great opportunities to have awesome conversations and collaboration about opportunities that this structure allows us to have. So the community table is something we've been focusing on and really how it allows us to expand our communication structures with our family. So Haley, I know you've got some questions for us to kind of dig into the community table a little bit more.
Absolutely. So I know that our parents and our students and our school community are excited and eager to learn more about the Community Table Ignite. So just to give a little bit of background information, this week and going into next week, all of our Nelson County schools are going to be having initial meetings with families, really just to form that relationship and to learn how we can support them better, really in an ongoing relationship, but also through virtual learning. And then after that initial, we'll have those 3-week meetings. Every 3 weeks, we'll continue to meet with your family to build that relationship and to continue to provide support. Leaders on our chat this morning, do you all want to talk about anything else you want to add about what that Community Table Ignite might be?
Yeah, so we've started these at Thomas Nelson this week, and we really have expanded not just with our students who opted in for virtual, but for all of our students. We recognize the importance of thinking beyond parent portal for communication with our families and really digging deeper into, what students' gifts are, what parent concerns might be, or what parents want us to know about their student and what gifts that they see in their students. So it's been a really cool opportunity for us this week so far.
And it's been really nice because I've had 4 come in that I haven't seen since March. So they wanted to come in and just chat and see what was going to be going on this coming year.
I know
I don't think you can underestimate the power of like a personal connection. So we know that we haven't seen anybody really other than our immediate family, and then now in some cases the people that we're working really closely with, and we're behind masks and behind doors and all that. This is an opportunity really to humanize what we're going through. And I think one of the things that was really powerful for me as we've started these conversations is just the emotions that our families feel, and even the emotions that we feel as a staff, to just see people again and just to be with them and talk to them and have conversations that move our community forward. So I think that's been a really powerful experience for our community.
So I'm kind of going to lead us off with just a few questions, and we kind of already talked about this just a little bit, but what do you think the value is of the Community Table Ignite? Why is that a valuable experience for our families and for us as educators?
I personally think that it brings a lot of value to our students. Like, it shows the students, like, you have all this support, these support systems around you. You have your family, you have your teachers. We want to be with you, alongside you in this journey, this crazy journey, in whatever setting you're going to be learning in. I think it just shows the students that they are valued enough for everybody to come together.
I think Mark spoke to a really important part about this humanity to the work. Being connected is such a big part of education and how we typically interact with our students. We feel their energy in the rooms, we see their smiling faces, and we know that the situation is different right now. So I think, building that connection in a time that can feel isolating for some of our students and families is really important. But also, I think, just having that conversation of like, where do you see yourself going? How can I support you? Building that relationship with parents, more than a phone call, more than parent portal, just really has a lot of power. Just to say, I'm here for you. I'm here to support you, and whatever you need, we'll all come to the table to support the student.
Yeah, and I think like there's a lot of humanity in the protocol, and it gives you a lot of space to really dive into a conversation that's going to be incredibly nuanced. And there's a lot of power in our families just coming to say, like, we know that this is hard for you, but we want to make a commitment as a school to continue this conversation, and we want to make a commitment as a school and a community to bring everybody together as much as possible and as safely as possible.
This last week, we've been doing brigance screenings here at Cox's Creek, and just to see, even if it's just a few kids at a time, come back into the building has really brought life back to our building, and it's just been awesome to see those little faces again. And I think what's special about the difference between NTI in the spring and virtual learning is our buildings are open. Families are still able to come into the building and receive that support for us. So that's exciting to me.
I think one thing that we're going to continue to explore more at Thomas Nelson, especially with our age group, well, actually, you could do this at any age group, I think, is, our first community tables were pretty much driven by the Care and Connect leader in conversation, but we plan to shift that to where the students are leading the conversation. I think that's going to be really cool for the student to be able to say, this is what I want to talk about at our community table today. This is where we need to spend our energy. So I think that's going to be a really cool addition and direction to the community table. So I don't know, Cox's Creek and the Academy, what are y'all's plans? What does that look like for you all?
So I kind of agree with you, Courtney, as far as, right now it is more of a caretaking conversation, helping to just reconnect with students and, support students in this journey. But our plan is for students to really take the lead during these tri-weekly meetings. And it's going to be a lot more of them getting to showcase what they've been learning, showcasing their gifts, showcasing their experience through this process. So we're excited to step back soon and let our students lead the tri-weekly meetings.
And Haley, to piggyback off that a little bit, like the gift showcases on our sites for the students to be able to utilize that to show off what they've been working really hard on. I think it's going to be really neat to kind of give them a gradual release. Like we kind of take the reins in the beginning of this initial meeting, and throughout the year, watch them grow and build that confidence and start taking the reins to completely take over that conversation and show their pride in their work. I'm really excited to see that.
Yeah, I just want to jump in and connect back to something that's kind of going on in the chat. We know that as we continue to explore these family meetings, we know that it's going to be a process that we continue to build, and it's going to take us a little bit of time. So making sure that we connect back. We had a question about how do we if online learning is not a good experience, how do we set up an in-person meeting? We know that those are some questions that exist out in our community, and the family community table, I think, is really an opportunity for us as a school community to have those conversations with our families and to really listen to at least the power in their concerns, so that we can set up a really extraordinary experience for their students and shift the focus from what has been traditional into an impossible experience for kids where they can take ownership of their learning, parents feel heard, and parents feel a part of the conversation. So that's a great conversation that's going on in the chat. We also know it's been a slow process because we got to work around schedules and all of those extenuating circumstances to make sure that we can see everybody. So at least that's been what it is for us. Trying to fit them into our 8.5-hour workday has been an interesting experience. Leslie's shaking her head too.
I know you call these parents and well, I work and I do this, and sometimes you may have to have a phone conversation in the evening, if that's what's going to work. Eventually they can work. A lot of parents said, well, if I have enough headway, I can figure out a time during the school day to meet virtually or whatever. But I was going to say, as a parent, coming from that side, I have two of my older kids are, one here at Thomas Nelson, one OKH, teenage boys. You ask them what's going on in school, and even I'm at the school with one of them, and whatever. So it'd be interesting to sit down and have them have the conversation about what's going on. I'm excited to see them lead and to know more what's going on during their school day, because I'm doing my school stuff. And again, like I said, teenage boys don't always tell you what they're doing. So I'm excited about that in a parent perspective.
So Leslie, I know you said from a parent perspective, you want to hear more about their day. What do you find most interesting, or what do you find most intriguing about their day that you want to learn more about from a parent's perspective? Or what are some conversations you want to have with their Care and Connect leader or their other teachers?
Well, I think just because I don't see what they're doing, like they play sports. I know what they're doing on the sports field. I see that, but I don't see what they're doing in the classroom. And I know, especially my middle schooler, he won't tell us about things that he got awards for. He doesn't want us to come see it. I don't know why. Doesn't care about the sports part, but like in school, he's like, no, don't you come. Don't you tell grandma and granddaddy to come. I'm like, why didn't you know you were getting it? And so just to see things that I don't see in the classroom that I may not realize they are doing well in, because I haven't been told by them, or just don't realize it because I don't see it during the day.
I think that is really powerful too. Again, if you go back to what the parent portal experience is, it's like a letter grade or maybe a canned comment. And sometimes those are so like deficit based, so just taking time to celebrate students. They all have such amazing individual gifts they bring to our community, and being able to celebrate them and have parents know about those celebrations too is great.
Yeah, Tiffany Clark mentioned one way that she sees this evolving is student leadership evolves to these gift conversations. So one of the things I know that we continue to talk about at a district level is this idea of like every student is gifted and every student has an opportunity to lead in some form or capacity. And now all over 4,000 of our students, including Micah, my little guy who's 4, has an opportunity to really take control of the narrative on his own schooling and say, this is what I'm interested in, this is what I'm learning, and this is how I can express that out in the world. So I think like that comment about student leadership and gift conversations really encompasses really everything we've been talking about for the last 15 minutes.
And if you think about like them having that conversation and them talking about that and discussing what their gifts are and their talents are, and discovering their gifts and talents at 4 and 5 and 6 years old, that is so powerful. And I feel like we weren't given that opportunity as kids. Like I didn't discover what I liked and enjoyed and my interest until I feel like I was almost 30. So like I feel really excited for these really young kids to be given this opportunity to dig deep and find out what they really enjoy and what they really like. And I feel like you discover it more when you get to talk about it and discuss it and say it out loud. And I'm so excited to see what comes of that for these little bitty ones.
And to see the growth over time. All these kids growing over time, especially like our Care and Connect, we're going to have them the 4 years we're here. The students, I have a senior this year who I would never have thought had led, and she started leading last year in some things as a junior, and as a freshman, I would have been like, oh, I don't know about, she was very timid, and just to see that growth with all the students.
I think something that it makes me so excited for is when we do return to school, we've had these one-on-one meetings with our kiddos. Like we've never lost that. We haven't lost that time. And I think that when we do get to come back into the building, they're already going to have one-on-one meetings with that teacher. That teacher's already going to know about their gifts, about their celebrations during this process. And then that's something that can continue on with them. I know another question that I would love for us to discuss is just how is this process going to support these kiddos, not just through this NTI process, but through the journey of their school career. So anybody have any thoughts on that?
Kind of what you were saying, Haley, about when we do eventually get to come back, having that opportunity to have already built those connections, I think will be huge for these kids. I think that will already, regardless of when they come back into this building, they're going to feel supported and they're going to feel like we have these relationships already. And it's kind of neat because when that happens, it'll be kind of like the first day all over again, but it will feel very different than our regular first day. So going into this virtual experience, I was my biggest apprehension with it all was, how do I build these relationships? How do I show them that I care, that I love them? And these community table ignite sessions that we're going to have with them and these tri-weekly meetings are going to be so important to build those connections with them and show them, I love you, I'm here for you, I'm supporting you along the way. And then whenever they walk in the door, I won't get to hug them, but I'll already feel like they're my baby, and that will mean so much to not just me. I know every teacher will feel that way because I feel like we're all kind of nervous about how to keep those connections going.
I think after our first one, I realized we can't lose this process. Like, and I don't know if, I see Courtney shaking her head, I see Haley shaking her head. Like, we can't lose this opportunity for a personal connection with every student. I think about even like, COVID-19 graduation ceremonies. Like, we can't lose the intelligence that we've gotten as how we interact with our families. Like, gift showcases and meaningful touch points and conversations have to continue to evolve to be a part of the fabric of our community, so that parents really feel empowered. And I think Leslie spoke very eloquently about it, like knowing about what their student is doing in a much more intimate way, and in a way that enables them to kind of everybody to be responsible and come and sit around the table and say, like, this is your team, these are the people that support you. It's a great, like, we just have to figure out as it evolves and we come back in person what that looks like, because I think that the possibilities are too much for us to get rid of.
Yesterday, I had an experience of doing a community table ignite with the Ward family. They're a Cox's Creek family. And shout out to the Wards because they did an amazing job with that. But it was the mom and the dad and their three kiddos. And just getting to sit down with that family and talk with them and celebrate the great things that their kids are doing, to learn more about mom and dad and their role and what their home looks like and just how things go at their house. It was important to me. And as I went through that experience with them, I know that I learned more from them than that they did from me. But I felt the same thing, Mark. Like, I don't want to lose this with our families because it's really powerful.
It's interesting. I think back in March, we found ourselves having to think through a lot of challenges because things were so different and happened so suddenly. And, we've been forced to think about what does learning look like? How do we know students are learning? How are we utilizing our time? And how are we communicating with families? And I think out of a lot of these type of challenges, we thought to ourselves, why weren't we doing this all along? Like, why haven't we been having these conversations all along? Why did it take a pandemic for us to think about how can we connect with our families? So, while there's a lot of challenges going on, I think there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of silver lining coming through in this. So that's something I've really appreciated about being challenged in this way, is thinking about how do we make connections and sustain them. So I think that's going to be a really important part in looking forward to the future.
TJ had a really good comment in the chat talking about this. He says his favorite part is we're starting young. We're teaching the littles that they have gifts, and then throughout their schooling, they're going to be able to realize this is where it got real powerful for me. They'll be able to realize they have value and are talented. Like, how great is that for a little kiddo in Chastity Newberry's class to realize that they have value at that age level? And it doesn't take till you're 30 years old to really have those conversations as a person, to be secure in that. Such a cool experience for our families.
I know at Cox's Creek, we talk about just empowerment. Like, that's a big part of what we believe in, is just empowering leaders and empowering learners. And I think empowerment, like, speaks just to this whole process of just giving students that power and that belief that I am in charge of my learning, that my parents want to hear from me about what I'm learning. My teachers want to hear from me about what I'm learning. I agree, TJ. I think that was an awesome comment.
I think another way that we're going to be able to support our families through this journey is not just with their educational gifts or passions and things like that, but because we are in a time of unknown, we might have some conversations about what they're feeling. And are they anxious about something? Are they upset because they can't do something? Or are they happy because they actually get to see somebody in person for some reason? I think we look at their social emotional also. it's maybe time just to sit down and have a conversation. Let's not talk about just school for a minute. Let's talk about everything going on. What's going on in your life?
Leslie, and it's funny because I feel like throughout the years we've all been trying to strive to get to where we can help the kids grow socially and emotionally and build their confidence in that way, and we've kind of been pushed there now. We're going to kind of have to work on that to help them through some hard times, so it's kind of ironic because we get to embrace the bad situation and make the best of it, and I think that that's going to be a really positive thing that comes out of this, is being able to build on their social and emotional needs.
Also, too, it's worth noting, like, it's a new process, so it'll continue to grow and evolve. And like, if it's not working, having those conversations with folks is really, like, at a dedicated point, can help with the frustration of the uncertainty. Like, we know that there's a lot of uncertainty out there, and we're getting through that, but giving parents and families an opportunity to come to the table and say, these are the things that aren't working. These are the things that cause me anxieties. These are the things that I'm struggling with. For us to make those decisions based on that data, how can we help the Newberry family if they're experiencing these things? How can we help the Victories? How can we help the Girdleys in a way that's meaningful to them and empowering for them, and knowing that our hope is to get back to some semblance of normal as we go?
We talked about that a little bit at our principal meeting yesterday too, Mark, about, okay, after we have these initial family meetings, what does the debriefing look like about that? Because the information that we get from our families is going to be so powerful. And I know that we've already put a lot of supports in place with tech and different things like that after we learned what we learned in the spring, but we're going to learn so much in this next week or two from our families. And then after that, we can come back together as a school staff and say, okay, these are what our families need. How are we going to make that happen for them?
I think that's one of the powerful things about a community table is, you think about the typical school day and, there's a lot of hurry and busy and classes starting, we got to get this started. And there's not sometimes the space to have these conversations to learn from the families in the way that we're able to with this. So I'm appreciative of the time and the space as well to have those conversations, learn from the families. And, sometimes it also triggers me to think, oh, well, we need to talk about that more as a school, or, oh, we need to create a structure for that. So it's been able to teach me about some blind spots that we had as a school, or some gaps in some of our processes, or talking about learning as well. So that's been really cool with this too.
Mark, anything going on over there in the chat that we want to maybe wrap up with?
Yeah, I think we're getting a lot of positive feedback. Jessica's in the chat, so she says she clicked on the wrong thing. Sorry about that, Jessica. I can publicly apologize for that. Thought I did a good job. But she's talking about love. She loves the work that we're putting in and getting. She loves the fact that we're getting input from parents as well. And I think that's that speaks powerfully to the conversation that Courtney just had with us. Is like, we know that there are blind spots that exist in our processes and things that we continue to be challenged with, and it takes some really honest conversations and some really powerful conversations to continue to make the best decisions for kids. And that's really, I think, why we're all here. So it's really important for us to have those touch points. And I think, Courtney, it caused me to slow down, I think, which is what you were talking about, like, to take 30 minutes and have that conversation with a parent forces me to get out of that busy and go, but gives me an opportunity to pause. Matt Pletz has one. This is another good one too. Sorry. I'm proud of how hard we're working to make sure that our students are made to feel like they're the priority and not an obligation. And then this is his personal part. My daughter has said that she feels like her teachers love her and her friends. Like, how powerful is that through the course of unprecedented times?
So that makes me think about, these pride values that you see all over Nelson County schools and the websites, and that heart where it says put people first. I think throughout all this process, that's really what we're trying to do, is to put people first, whether it be students, parents, our community members who are really thinking about the heart and all the work. So I really appreciate you all joining us for the Community Brew, and thank you all for the heart that you've put into this conversation, putting people first. And I can't wait to continue to learn from the experience with you guys. I hope you all have a great Friday, great weekend, and we'll see you again.
Thanks, guys.